Welcome to the monthly special Urbanist Q&A and also a philosophical chat. For the first 15 minutes, you can ask me anything about Urbanist, about videos, about travel, though I won't specify exactly where I'm traveling to because I want to give everyone a surprise each time they tune in live. You can ask me anything about the aspects of travel or how has it been. I'll do my best to answer for those first 15 minutes. And then afterwards, you can ask me literally anything you would like beyond travel. No more questions of travel after the first 15 minutes. I'm Ariel. This is Urbanist. Let me know where you're watching from. And right now, we're also going to have some of the best beer I've encountered, or actually cider I've encountered in the UK. This is Thatcher's, which is from Somerset. And I've been in love with this cider, like really, really in love with this cider. So I'm super, super hyped to try it out again because I've been having it quite a lot. Hey, Susu says, looking forward to the chat. I'm so glad. Rayon, nice to see you here. Hello, Lewis from the UK. Welcome. Bonnie says, where am I? I'm at my lodging. I won't be showing the lodging I'm at right now. Stay tuned. When I'm finished with this place, you'll be seeing a video of it. Hello, Nicole. Nice to see you here. Hello, Courtney. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How is traveling during the pandemic? Basically, here in the UK, it does not feel like the pandemic anymore, especially in England. Scotland had a few masks rules, but in Edinburgh, barely anything. So I did not encounter too many restrictions. In England, it doesn't feel like there's a pandemic anymore. It literally feels like it's just normal. No mask rules, really, in most places. No vaccine cards. It feels really back to normal, which is to me such a relief. I'm glad that things have opened up and become regular. So I have not encountered too much about the pandemic. But if you're going to a country where it does require vaccine cards, if you have the V, don't fret. Just bring your card with you, especially if you're American, I think you'll have an easy time. I think Canadians as well. Or if you're European, you'll have an easy time. I can't speak for other countries, but right now in the UK, you don't, in England at least, you don't need anything. I have not shown my V card once this entire trip. So I'm super excited. And let me double check that my volume is good. Okay. Hey, welcome, Armchair Guru. Nice to see you here. Hey, Susan. Hello, Doreen. Have you noticed the difference in accents while traveling? I have noticed the difference in accents. Oh my. Like growing up American, there's not that many different accents in America, especially if you grew up in New York. Of course, you can kind of tell if someone's from Brooklyn or from Bensonhurst or from Staten Island or from the Bronx. You kind of could tell. But here, the differences are much more stark than what I encounter as a New Yorker, because sometimes I can't tell if someone's from Pennsylvania or what part of Pennsylvania. I can't tell if they're New Jerseyan versus Rhode Islander versus maybe Bostonian sticks out, but sometimes I can't tell if someone's from like Maine. So here, I'm starting to get a knack for the different accents. So obviously in Scotland, it sounds very different. Scotland feels different overall as a country. It feels like you're in a different country. It's literally a different country in many respects. I gotta really do a deep dive research into exactly what the definitions are. But if you expect the UK to feel the same everywhere, it's not. So Edinburgh has its own accent. Further up in the Highlands, they had their own accent. Glasgow had their own Glaswegian accent, which was a bit tougher to understand compared to the Edinburgh accent. And then, and even in England, I can tell if someone's from the north of England now. It's becoming to me very obvious when I listen to a north of England accent as opposed to a south of England or a Londoner accent. Susie says, Long Island has its own accent. Yeah, it does indeed. Long Island has its own accent. But it's, you have to be really astute to listen, or the person has to have a really strong accent, I think. I think in the UK you'll have an easier time discerning the accents. Or not discerning, maybe because I'm a unique case. I'm really into the culture. I have read up a lot about it. I research, and I've been traveling all around. So I'm getting the ear for the accent. But even if you don't know all of that, I think you'll be able to tell that there is a different accent. Bonnie says, you're becoming a UK linguist. Awesome. I'm glad I could be a cunning UK linguist. Doreen says, some are harder to understand. Indeed they are. Some of them are harder to understand. The Geordie accent is difficult to follow. I have not heard a Geordie accent. Martin, let me know, where are the Geordies based at? Where's the Geordie Shore? Best accent so far. I really love the Bristolian accent. I haven't shown it on this trip. I just love the Bristolian accent. It's the accent most associated with pirates. A lot of that stereotypical pirate sound is actually derived from Bristolian. Arr, matey, is derived from Bristolian. I love their Bristolianisms like Cheers Drive and Gert Lush. Really cool Bristolian accents. But from the accents I've shown on video, I think the most charming one has been the Edinburgh accent, has been the most charming one. Alan says, your great mate action has moved to Miami. Indeed, I do know. Everyone, slam that like button. I don't know what's happening with YouTube. You know, of course, with social media, things always ebb and flow. And on YouTube, for some reason, a lot of people are not seeing my videos. I don't know why. So slam that like button right now. Let me know if you're on Team Like. And then if you really love this show and want to help it continue to grow, after this video, comment on the videos. I'm not able to respond to all the comments, but I do appreciate them and I do read them. And maybe other people respond to other comments. So feel free to comment on these videos afterwards. Scousers are from Liverpool. Indeed they are. So I'm accepting 7 more minutes of travel urbanist questions. And then I'm not answering any more travel urbanist questions. Did you record a video of Chester while you were there today? No, I did not. I just took photos. I just took photos. I mentioned that I was going to do more edited videos. I love the TikTok format of vertical. I love telling stories that way. I don't know, there's something about the TikTok format and the vertical that to me emulates the best parts of live video, which is kind of that personal interaction, that kind of immersiveness that you're here with me. That's what I love about those two formats. And I tried doing vlogging, and I have like 2 more vlogs that I have to post and edit that I did mostly in London. One of them is about Stonehenge. I didn't like it too much. I don't like doing edited video or vlogs too much, specifically vlogs. Documentaries are a different thing. I don't like making vlogs too much because I don't know. It feels so, to me it feels so empty. I I love the either the company that live video offers or the quick rawness that a short video, vertical one that I call TikToks offer. So that's why I haven't done too many edited videos as opposed to what I said. Carol says, I won't be letting people know where I'm going to next. Stay tuned. It's all spontaneous. You'll be finding out the places I cover when you tune in. Isabel says it's not as spontaneous as your lives. Yeah, it's hard to bring that spontaneity. Some people are really good at it. Some people do. Some people focus more on the production quality. Some people focus more on the passiveness. I have a few colleagues from New York that do videos about New York, and their videos are more passive. They just show mostly the sights, not so much about the person or the entertainment factor. The entertainment or the video is mostly about the space, the environment. For me, my videos, I really like focusing a lot on the entertainment, the storytelling, the chatting, the conversation. And it's hard to recreate that in a vlog. I find it a lot easier to recreate it in the TikTok. A lot, not easier, but more fun. I think it's better. Laureen says, I love your TikTok. So much energy. Right. That's what I love about them. I tried doing the TikTok editing style in a vlog. Watch my video about the Knights Templar. I basically made that Knights Templar video is basically a 10-minute TikTok. Ironically, TikToks are now going to be 10 minutes. The energy I put into a 3-minute TikTok in terms of how the TikTok feels, how fast paced it is. After 3 minutes, it kind of wars you out. It's too fast for longer than 3 minutes. So when I edited a Knights Templar video, I realized, oh my God, this went way too fast, and it's 10 minutes. It's almost too fast. Tom says, I love that you try a variety of different foods. Hey, Ariel, the executive producer is tuning in from the car tours in New York. Thank you so much for tuning in. Do people on TikTok avoid YouTube? No. A lot of the audiences overlap. Now, a lot of younger people are tuning in more into TikTok than YouTube. So YouTube is kind of scared, and and Facebook as well. So everyone, I'm gonna whip out a beer. We're getting close to the philosophical chat portion. Looks like you're in a Motel 6. Says Joe. Maybe I am in the Motel 6. I gotta admit, this trip in England has made me, and the UK has made me curious about America. Because there's so many wonderful differences here in the UK, different histories, different cultures, different sayings and lingos. It made me curious. What does America have to offer? So let's try Thatcher's. A cider from Somerset, south of England. Oh, wow. That's divine. No wonder Somerset is entrenched in Arthurian legends. I can imagine this being served at the knight's round table. King Arthur with a long flowing beer sipping on the good Thatcher's cider. About to slay a dragon with his fellow cohorts and oust the Saxons from these lands. This is a cider that makes men and women as well. Doesn't have to be gendered, but it'll make something out of you. UK mead is good. I can't wait to try mead. I haven't tried mead yet, Bomsai. What are the notes of the beer? This is cider, so it's very sweet. Cider is hard to kind of even discern notes. It's not like beer. It doesn't have quite a variety of notes. It all tastes like apple, but it is on the sweeter side. Sweet. The bubbles are very small. So it is like it's sparkling. It's carbonated. But they're small bubbles, but they're a lot. They're numerous. So it has a very fizzy feeling when you on your tongue. George says, does the room come with a vibrating bed? I mean, this is not the US. This is the UK. In the US, that might be a feature in some hotels. Excuse me. What's the alcohol content of the cider? Alcohol content usually in the UK is less than 5%. This is 4.8, so it's pretty high for cider. Ciders, I would say, are usually between 4.0 to 4.5. So this is on the higher end. For a cider in the UK, ciders in the US usually are 5 to 6%. Especially if you're buying it from a micro brewery. I'm not sure what you call a cidery. I'm not sure what you call the brewery version of cider. But usually beers here are also below 5%. And with good reason. It's more common here to drink a full pint. This is not a pint, but a full pint of cider, a full pint of beer. In America, it's not normal to drink a full pint. Usually beer or cider is served on not half a pint, but it's like in between a half pint and a full pint. Let me know the ounces. I know I may have some bartenders or former bartenders here that watch. It's I'm not sure how many ounces, but it's between half pint and a full pint that we drink in the US. My cider is going down good as well, says KL. That's awesome. What do you like and dislike about England? Specifically about England, or what I like is the ease of trains, how easy it is to get around. What I also like is how each city has a very different culture, a very different vibe in such a small island. You know, remember England is about the size of New York State and New Jersey combined, kind of. It's not that big. Maybe it's a little bit bigger than that. I also love how England, as a vlogger, England's very easy to vlog. People are just very kind of chill and accepting. You can be whoever you want. So I think England, the cool thing about England, it's very kind of open. It's a country that is open to a variety of people. There's different people here from all around the world, and I see people fairly well accepted all around England. What I dislike about England is the trains are expensive, unfortunately. Not as cheap as they were in Italy, for example. And that's basically it. I really love England. I would say that's basically it. I don't have too many complaints. What's your least favorite food you have had here, says Susie. That's a good question. What did I not like? I haven't, luckily, have not had anything terrible. I've had some terrible foods in other countries, but not here, not yet. I would say, Nando's for a chain restaurant isn't as deeply gratifying as like a Applebee's in the US. There's something about a good Applebee's burger. Nando's does not fill that kind of beautiful sense of comfort that a Applebee's offers. Greg's is pretty awful, let's face it, says Pine Rocks. I disagree with you. I really do enjoy that sausage roll from Greg's. I think it's a good sausage roll. One thing you want to see in the UK, in New York City, what's one thing you want to see from the UK in New York City, says Ron. The trains. Really, these train systems are amazing. Of course, they have their own issues. They are expensive. Some of them, at least, are expensive. But the ease of trains, the fact that you can go from Liverpool to Manchester, only an hour away between two cities, is awesome. The only really city that connects with New York is Jersey City. But why don't we have trains that go more frequently to Nassau County, more frequently to Connecticut? You can catch the Metro North, but there should be more frequent and high-speed service. Why can't I get to Hartford in an hour, 30 minutes? I would love that, and fortunately we don't have that in New York City. So New York City does not have best connections with other parts. I can't get to the south of New Jersey. I don't know what's in the south of New Jersey, but I would love to find out. But it's hard to get to. Why does it take so long to get to the Atlantic City? It's crazy. It's madness that Atlantic City, being a major recreation center of the East Coast, is not well connected to New York by train. So that's why I would love to see. Lorraine, thank you so much for the 500 stars. I appreciate that. Yeah, I would love to get to Poughkeepsie in an hour. Yeah, I mean, there's so many amazing places in New York City that are great to get to. Wow, everyone. We have a massive, massive, gigantic super chat. I haven't had a super chat this big in a while. I've had a few PayPals like this, so thank you so much for the PayPalers. But Susu with the whopping $100 super chat says, Ariel, thank you so much for the UK tour. Been wanting to see this area since my son has been there in 2016 when he went there for a school trip. So I'm going vicariously through you. Thank you again so much for this. My pleasure, Susu. That is my deepest pleasure. Thank you so much for the amazing super chat. I'm so glad I can show you a trip that your son experienced. I've gotten similar comments as well, where a family member of theirs has visited this place and really fell in love. And I know it's not always easy to travel for everyone, so I'm glad I can do these videos for all of you. So Susu, everyone, round of hearts to Susu. She's also a mega urbanist and has been watching for quite a while from Bensonhurst. Thank you so much for the $100 super chat. That's so kind of you. Susu, you are a gem. Susie says, wow, extremely generous. Yeah. What stereotype you saw in real life in the UK? The properness, especially in London, especially in the south of England as well. Proper. That English politeness that you see in movies. Hello, good sir. That type of kind of upright properness is real. Like, especially in contrast to New York, which is a little bit more blunt, a little bit more casual, especially compared to Paris, which is a bit more in your face bluntness, or Rome, which is a bit more chill, or south of Italy, which is a lot more open. That kind of English properness is real. And it's interesting because it's in contrast to Mexican politeness, cordialness. It's a different quality. Like in England, it's politeness, but mixed with that being about being proper, about being politically correct, but not in the U.S. kind of way. About being helpful, but not in a kind of warm way, but kind of trying to ensure the social good. I think that's the best way I can explain it. I think the Brits really, especially the English, really encapsulate, or especially the more south in England you go to, encapsulates the keep calm and carry on logo that was used during World War II. I think they even live by that on a daily basis, keeping calm and carrying on, which is very different from another polite country, which was Mexico, is another very a culture that's very steeped in politeness, but their politeness was more of being serviceable. Susie says it could be a stiff upper lip. Yeah. It could, that's the darker side. That's the shadow side of the English properness is stuck upness, which I haven't luckily encountered at all. But I can see that is the dark side of that. Okay, everyone. There's a lot of England questions. I'm gonna answer just a few of them very quickly, and then I'm gonna go to the philosophical chat. Susu says, also because of your inspiration, I went to Mayor's of Keswick yesterday for Scotch egg, steak and ale pie, and scones with cream and jam. That's amazing, Susu. I'm so glad you had some of those English goods in New York City. Do you have difficulty understanding the different accents here? No, I do not. I only had a little bit of difficulty in Glasgow. It was a bit more difficult. There's been rumors for a high-speed train from Miami to Orlando. There's not rumors. They're actually working on it. It's called the Bright Line. They've been taking a while to build it. You can buy bus and train passes, which make it cheaper, says Janice. That's right. Yeah, I just got to find out what passes I could buy. Have you cooked anything whilst here? No. Though I did buy eggs and bacon. I still haven't cooked it, but no, I haven't been cooking here at all. It would be a lot more financially. It'll be cheaper to cook at home because UK could get rather expensive. But UK groceries are very cheap. Hello, Veronica. A Scouse hug to you. Hope you get to visit Liverpool again. Sorry for the crap weather. We don't tan, here we get rusty. That's funny, Colette. Yeah, I've been having rain almost my entire trip. Today I just experienced sun. How have you found the UK expensive? Yes, I have found the UK way more expensive than the rest of Europe. Specifically, well, I haven't been to that much of Scandinavia, and the UK is still a little bit cheaper than, say, like a Helsinki. That's the only Nordic country I've been to. Oh, I've also been to Estonia. It's cheaper than Helsinki. But it's still more expensive than Italy. Italy, you'll be surprised how little you spend in Italy. And in Greece as well. And compared to New York, it's a bit more expensive than New York. Isabel says, Bright Line is making slow progress. Indeed it is. All right, everyone. We're opening up. The floodgates are opening. I hope I answer most of the questions about England, about travel, about trips here. Now feel free to ask anything else. How about the street food in the UK? It's very good. Lots of options. That's the great thing about the UK versus other parts of Europe, especially Western Europe. Does not have too much street food. Not that much street food in Italy. Well, it depends where in Italy, but especially Rome and above, not that much. from my experience. Greece, yeah, you get gyros, but depends on the city. Thessaloniki had gyros, but other parts of Greece, not so much. So street food is a lot more numerous here. Here you can find a kebab. If you want to really eat on the cheap, kebabs, gyros. You can find Chinese bakeries, a lot of things, very low price. Oh, stiff upper lip is stoicism, not stuck upness. Oh, okay. Thank you so much for clarifying, Janice. In the UK, what was the price comparison? It was a bit cheaper in Scotland, but almost the same prices. The lodging makes a big difference. Lodging in London is going to be very expensive. It's among the most expensive lodging I spent. For perspective, for 2 weeks, I spent like almost $2,700. The most expensive I've ever spent in lodging. And I didn't like splurge. I stayed in a hotel that would cost me, or like a suite that would cost me maybe $1,800 in another country. So yeah. Do you try chocolate kebab? I don't know about chocolate kebab, Eugene. Food cars or food trucks? Street food, when I say street food, and this means also the same in Europe, street food in Europe means quick food, casual food, not necessarily food that's sold on a street car or a food truck. It could be an actual brick and mortar place, but it's quick food. That's street food. There's not that many food carts here. Well, actually, there are food carts here. Yeah, you can find fish and chips. You can find sometimes baked goods, sometimes sausage rolls on street cars, but it's not as numerous. I would say New York has more street cars and food trucks. Lauren, thank you so much for the 200 stars. Our hotels aren't the best here. Yeah, I mean that's another reason why I could save even more money in hotels, but I would stay in really far off places. Are you still ghosting Boris, says Ron. Indeed I am, yes. He has other tougher issues to handle. Did you visit Asda yet? No, I have not visited Asda yet, Eugene. Beatles song quotes, "Getting your tan, standing in the English rain." Yeah. Janice. Is there uncertainty in the UK? Says Sil. I don't think so. I think things are pretty chill in the UK. Question, how do the purchase of stars work? That's a great question, Isabel. It's not. I think you can purchase through PayPal. PayPal is just the payment method. You can pay via PayPal or credit card. But stars should be a star button down below. You purchase the stars first, and then you have to send them. Two-step process, as opposed to a super chat on YouTube. For people who don't know, I'm multi-streaming to both YouTube and Facebook. So that's Facebook. First, you have to purchase the stars. You can use any payment method you want, I think, either credit card or PayPal, and then you send them. Isabel watches via Facebook. Yeah, thank you so much, Isabel. So I hope that makes sense. Our lovely moderator, Kay, could explain maybe a little bit more. Have you seen anything supernatural? I've seen, yes, I've seen things supernatural before. That's a great question. I've had an experience when I was a little kid of seeing an otherworldly being, a very positive one. That one is a very personal tale, so I'll keep it at that. But I've also experienced very negative feelings in some haunted places. I've experienced very deep pits in my stomach. I felt very elevated. It's not seeing a supernatural force or being or anything, but I felt very elevated when I went to Glastonbury 4 years ago. And there's a video on it on Urbanist. Search Urbanist Glastonbury, and it's easier to find on YouTube. And I felt very elevated. So it's almost like that feeling of almost like taking ecstasy, MDMA, but without the negative side effects. That's how I felt in Glastonbury. Susan said 875 stars. Thank you so much. Nina said, yeah, Euphoria, yeah. I've had a strange experience as a kid. Long story, says Susie. Yeah. Sometimes stories don't need to be really told. Sometimes it's okay to sometimes not tell everything. What do you think about the time zones in the UK and the US? I don't have too many thoughts about the time zones. Do I experience jet lag? Usually I experience jet lag going from Europe back to the US. That's where I experience the most jet lag. What's the most shocking thing you have seen since being in the UK? Asked Jonathan. I already mentioned this a few times, but as I mentioned, the trains. Truly, the trains. They're so numerous. Going up to Wales, there were train stations, and people were using them in tiny little towns or villages in the middle of Wales, in the mountains. There was a train all the way to the summit of one of the tallest mountains in the entire country, in the entire region. Yeah, it's just mind blowing how many trains there are here. There's more numerous trains than Italy. Italy just happens to be cheaper, but there's more trains here than other countries. And it's awesome. And the US could have had that. But we destroyed them all. A good portion. Or using them only for freight trains. It used to be possible to go to all these tiny towns all around the US just using trains. And it's sad. Even in New York City itself, we have an entire abandoned rail line that runs through Brooklyn and Queens that they're planning to use as a train system, but as a commuter train or subway extension. But yeah, we New York and the US has destroyed its cities and destroyed its once great train infrastructure. And what shocked me the most in Britain is that you saw here there are cities that are still walkable, that are still small and intimate, that still have history to them. And sure, most of Britain has structures that could date up to 2,000 years, but not too many 2,000 years, but has structures that are like a few hundred years old, 800, 900 years old, 600, 700 years old. But all around the US and in great cities like Atlanta and Chicago and New York and Boston and Buffalo and Albany, they had great structures that we built in the late 1800s, early 1900s. And if you see maps of Atlanta pre 1950s, it was a great city. I haven't been to Atlanta yet, but I've done my research on the urban changes of Atlanta. And Atlanta seemed like it was a city that can rival New York, that can rival London, that can rival Paris. And they destroyed it to build parking lots and highways. And that's the greatest tragedy of America in the 20th century. And it's beautiful that England and the UK has maintained what America has lost. Lava asks, if you could live in another city besides New York, where would you live and why? You know, that answer always used to be London, but London has not the best cell phone reception. I really love making live videos. Am I drinking Thatcher's Gold? Yes, I am. Thatcher's Gold. That is true, Harvard. So I would say London. I used to say London, but the cell phone reception is pretty bad. I love, I love, I love making live videos. And London is not the easiest place to make live videos. It's awesome. The people are awesome. The city has amazing history. But the cell phone reception is not so flexible. I think there's only a few people who do live streams there because they kind of already know the routes that work. But because of that, London is no longer the top. So where would it be? Matrix says Miami or LA? No, oh no. I would not move to Miami. Miami strikes me as a city that still requires a car, and LA definitely requires a car. LA is not walkable at all. They are cities with I haven't been to Miami yet, but LA is a city that definitely has interesting history, has a history of film, has a lot of cool culture. But I love places that can take trains, buses, and walk. So LA wouldn't be for me. So the city I would live in, I think now Paris has taken the lead. If it were to be a U.S. city outside of New York, it would be Boston, as Susie says, yeah. Nunya says, do you like Prague? I enjoyed Prague. When I went to it, I had a fun time. But this was pre-urbanist. Just one more. All right, there we go. Robert says Parisians don't speak English. Yeah, they don't. Or they don't want to. Oh, I see that Thatcher's is sold here. Trying some tonight, says Lorraine. Oh, cool. I'm glad you can find Thatcher's all the way in Honolulu. Oh, my God. Reggie, indeed I am aware about Action Kid. Are there any conspiracies that you've looked into, DS? Well, I talked about the Paul is dead conspiracy at Abbey Road. So there was a huge conspiracy that Paul McCartney was dead and replaced with a different guy named Billy Shears. You know, there's not that many conspiracies here that I've encountered. Not like the U.S. U.S. has a lot more conspiracies, conspiracy theories. So I sometimes may use the word conspiracy. I mean conspiracy theory. Yes, they're technically different, but for the sake of conversation, I just say conspiracies. I was shocked that I did not see enough conspiracies about the City of London. City of London has been a financial might for 2,000 years. And as I was researching, I couldn't find really any ties to the Rothschilds, which in America we talk about a lot. When you research conspiracy theories, the Rothschild family is really talked about quite a lot. But I was surprised here in English history, I couldn't find that much mentions about the Rothschilds, for example, which if people don't know, they are heavily involved for many centuries in the central banking system of the UK. And the City of London has certain level of autonomy within the United Kingdom. The City of London, which is a ceremonial county within London itself. So City of London is different from London, the city, and has been autonomous for 2,000 years. Within quotes because it's more complicated than that. I'm simplifying. But I was shocked that there was not more. Maybe I got to do some deeper digging. Of course, you can always find a cool conspiracy theory from any type of history. So, yeah, let me know if there's anything I should check into. Pine Rock says most Brits don't even know about them. Yeah, it's interesting that they're not talked about here in Britain. Like, for the Brits who watch, there's a family who's been running your money for centuries. Like one family. And they're still heavily involved in how that money is run, how the economy is run. If we had that in the U.S., I think it would be news. Tracy says, "Hey Ariel, why haven't you visited Manchester? Why? Why haven't you visited Manchester?" Tracy, sorry, I don't mean to make fun, but just scroll back. Scroll back. Plenty of Manchester. Princess Diana is an obvious conspiracy. Yeah. It's an obvious conspiracy. Like conspiracy theory that people talk about. Yeah. Hey, Wendy, nice to see you here. Maureen asks, who has the best avocado toast? The best avocado toast I've tried thus far is in London, in a place called the Watch House, right in the center of London, close to Soho. Watch House. Excuse me. Ooh, this makes me gassy. That is the best. That's the best avocado toast I've had. I've had plenty of other amazing avocado toast. The best toast I had was in Manchester, but it wasn't avocado. It was with black pudding, and it was a place called Tack, which is featured in my very long video of Manchester. Reggie says, I've been watching your content for a year now. I'm enjoying all your content. Oh, my pleasure. Isabel, thank you so much for 530 stars. You are awesome. Janice says there are scandals and there are conspiracies. Yeah, they tend to be different things, yes. A scandal is something that's historically accurate. It's just people are kind of scandalized by it. Like the situation with Princess Diana and Prince Charles. That is a scandal. But speculating on that Princess Diana's death was intentional is a conspiracy theory. So that's the difference. Scandal is history, is how people interpret the history, and conspiracy theory is that. It's a theory. Is there a food you just can't stand? Drinking milk. Ugh. Oh, no. I can't drink milk. Matrix, I won't be getting into that topic. Do you have English breakfast? Like a fry-up? Eugene, yeah, I've done a few videos on English breakfasts. Wendy, nice to see you here. Welcome. Carol says the UK adventure has been spectacular. Everyone give Carol a round of hearts. She's a very generous contributor to the show. Carol, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm so happy that this adventure to the UK has been spectacular. Carol, as many others, contribute via PayPal or via Patreon. It's not so public. They don't have a badge. They don't get a fancy image like a super chatter does, but they are contributors nonetheless. So give Carol and the others a round of hearts. Thank you so much, Carol. What's your favorite movie out now? Asked Nikki. Yeah, so everyone, you can ask me literally anything. It doesn't have to be just about travel or UK. What's my favorite movie right now? I think the best movie I've seen recently was West Side Story. That's the best movie I've seen recently. Are you still optimistic about the Scottish lass? Says Ron. um. Yes, indeed I am. Indeed I am. Did you watch the movie Belfast? No, I have not. I don't like too many dramas that are about depressing topics. I have no doubt because that the movie's good or even great because the guy who's directing is Kenneth Branagh, who's an amazing filmmaker. He's also an awesome actor. I have no doubt. I just don't want to see the movie. And the reason is because, I don't know, I'm kind of done with seeing movies that are too dark and depressing or about very dark subject matter. Um, Again, I recognize that it's probably a good film and it's probably a very true film because I know it's apparently true to Kenneth Branagh or the writer's experience. Something was. It's a very personal movie. I know that, but for me personally, I rather see movies that are more kind of spectacular, adventurous, escapist, or joyful. So I tend to nowadays gravitate to superhero movies, sci-fi movies, or comedies, or movies that are very joyful. One of the top movies that I've seen recently in the past few years has been Paddington 1 and 2. It's some of the best movies I've seen in my life. That pair of movies should be recognized as some of the best movies ever made. And I'm not saying that just because I found it to be a fun ride. No, they're genuinely extremely well crafted films that are very important to see because those films touch upon things that are so innate to the human experience. The searching for belonging, the desire and the challenges with family, and it also covers the aspect of being an immigrant, of coming to a new place, a new country, a new city. And it does it in the most joyful, positive way possible. Those two movies leave you better off at the end than how you started, or way better off at the end than where you started. And I think they deserve all the awards. So do check out Paddington 1 and 2. And it's very relevant to the videos I'm making because we're in England. So those movies are very, very good movies. Not just great English movies, but great movies overall. And I love comic book films. And the reason I love comic book films is because they show the best of humanity, especially the good ones. Well, not the good ones, but the positive ones, the more feel-good ones. There's ones that are darker. I'm a little bit trepidatious in watching the Batman. And the reason for that is because I fear that the Batman is going to be rather depressing. I love The Dark Knight. I did not find The Dark Knight to be depressing because The Dark Knight was more like a thriller. But I'm a little bit afraid that this new Batman movie is going to be just a very depressing, dark movie about a serial killer. Oh, I'm so sad that they made a Batman movie so dark and dreary. Though again, I have no doubt that it's probably a very well-made film. Robert Pattinson is an amazing actor, and Matt Reeves is an amazing director. I really love Cloverfield and Planet of the Apes that he did. But for me, very, very much prefer Spider-Man over a dark Batman movie. And if I were to make a Batman movie, I would lean into the fantastical elements, not like the George Clooney and Val Kilmer ones. Those got a little bit too goofy. But I would lean into kind of that 40s, 1940s aesthetic, the very fantastical world, the crazy villains that are somewhat silly but also terrifying. I love that kind of balance when it comes to those Batman movies. They're very, very fun. Do you watch the movie Blue is the Warmest Color? Yes, I did watch Blue is the Warmest Color. I watched it in the movie theaters. It was a fun movie. Very, very fun movie. I actually watched it on a date. And I made the mistake of watching that movie on a date with a woman who was a very hardcore feminist. Because you would think that movie would be appealing to women, but no. At least a lot of the women I met that have seen that movie really don't like it. I loved it. I really loved Blue is the Warmest Color, and not just because of that one scene. If people don't know what that movie is, yeah, there's one scene that's very explicit, but overall I really enjoyed the film. DS says the best advice you've ever received. That's a good question. I think a piece of advice that really helped me in making videos and making content online was from JP Sears, who's a comedy video maker. He mostly posts on Facebook, but he's also on YouTube. He posts skits. And he didn't give this advice to me personally. He gave it in general. And he says, be weird. Because life is boring if you're not weird. If you're not your own kind of weird, life is rather boring. None of the magic of life will happen if you play it safe. And that really helped me, especially hearing that from a content creator, another guy who makes videos. Because when it comes to my career of making entertainment, may it be videos, TikToks, Instagrams, movies, documentaries, speaking, telling stories, whatnot, it's very tempting to play it safe. It's very tempting to try to give people what you think they want. And ultimately, that's a trap. Because the best entertainment is the one that comes straight from the heart. And that might seem weird to yourself because you might think, oh, this aspect of myself is a bit weird. You might think others think it weird. Others might actually find it weird. But to try to impress 100% of the people out there will be impossible. And the second piece of advice that I really took to heart was from Aziz Ansari's book called Modern Romance. And he makes an analogy saying that you got to face it, 90% of the people you meet are going to not like you at all. So why bother trying to impress that 90%? Try your very best to be with that 10%. And that's so true. And that's a bit scary because 10% seems like such a low number. It seems such a low number in terms of dating, in terms of love and romance. It seems like a low number in terms of entertainment, of having an audience. But if you really make the math, it's not a low number at all. In terms of entertainment, 10% of the world, what is it, 70 million people? More? 700 million? We got 7 billion people. 10% would be 700 million, yeah. 700 million people. Am I getting that right? I think I am. Do confirm with me. Sorry, I don't have it's too late for math. But it's a whole lot of people. A whole lot of people. And if you're talking about dating or romance or something like that, because in that book, the context is dating and romance, it's a whole lot of people still. It's a lot of people. So, yeah, just be weird. That's Bodhi. Yeah, you're right. We have about 8 billion people now. Morgan says, love the work I saw that you did with the women dancing ballet. Oh, I'm so glad. You could search. Morgan, thank you so much. I appreciate that compliment. Morgan is referring to my video of that I did on YouTube. On YouTube, under my own name, Ariel Vieira, I have videos that are not about history. They're about dance short films. So you can find me, Ariel Vieira, there. And we have a lot of people tuning in. If I ever misgendered you, please do correct me, because sometimes in at least in New York, there's certain names that we usually use for one gender or the other. Like my own name in the U.S., Ariel tends to be a woman's name, but in Latin America, it's strictly a male's name. So do let me know if I ever misgendered you, or do feel free to send me a message, and I'll do my best to remember it. DES says, how do you deal with criticism? Oh, that's a tough one. That's a tough one, DS. That is very tough, because I've been recently a little bit tired of criticism. I gotta state that I'm very grateful that I have a wonderful audience. I have wonderful people who tune in. I get wonderful comments, wonderful messages. I've met wonderful people in person. Today there was a lovely Welshman who saw me in Chester and said hello, and he said that he enjoyed the videos along with his wife. So I got to preface with that. But making content online opens you up to public opinion. People criticizing you on a daily basis. The more popular you are, the more criticisms you're going to get, or the more amount, generally at least. Um, and always it's only 1% of people. But that 1% tends to be more vocal and more louder. And unfortunately, due to human uh, human nature, one tends to read those comments sometimes more than the other comments. It's something you really got to train yourself not to do, and that takes years. So, yeah, it gets a little bit tiring sometimes, and I have bouts where I get more tired of it than other times. And these past few weeks, I'm a bit more tired of reading criticism. It could be anything, but so there's people that out there who nitpick tiny little things I say in the story, a history detail. They nitpick that. There's sometimes very obvious mistakes that I do, and people. I get it if I make like a very big mistake in a date or a detail about a story or a person about a story or some type of detail about a location. I get it if I make a mistake, and it's okay to tell me, oh no, it's actually this. But what kind of sucks is the people who interpret it as you doing something very bad. So not only do they say you're wrong, but they also say you're wrong because you're sloppy, you're blah blah blah, you're trying to misinform, they attribute many negative things. And then you have the type of people who seem to be nice, but then say something very mean, and that's probably the worst. Luckily, that's the rarest type. But there's the type of people who seem to be nice, who open with something very nice, and then say something very either mean or very kind of just not helpful. So yeah, I get that quite a bit, especially with live video. Live video, it's live. There's no editing, and there's no script, and there's no heavy production either. Like I don't do too many videos where I have big production, so I don't have someone holding the camera or something like that. And then also I'm susceptible to all the factors of the environment, people, cars, traffic, weather, seagulls attacking me for the food, like earlier today in Wales, and also cell phone reception. And then getting those comments is saying, "Oh, your videos are so bad because of there's so much cuts and so much weird interruptions. Why is this?" And people getting mad because of those things, and it's a little bit disheartening because it's like, oh, it's the content. And like on TikTok, TikTok videos are my style videos. I like to make them spontaneously. I like to make them feel spontaneous. So I don't want them to be precise. I don't want them to be so specific, especially with like history detail. Like I don't like I don't want to tell you a story that's wrong, but if a detail about a story is inaccurate and does not affect the overall story, or maybe a pronunciation does not affect the overall story, it's not my priority to get that 100% correct. So it's rather disheartening to constantly get those comments over and over again. And of course, as a content creator, of course you can not read them. But by ignoring the comments, sometimes you ignore the good ones. If you take the policy of just not reading comments at all, which some people do, it's very understandable that they do, you kind of miss out on the sweet things that people say. So I don't take the policy of not reading anything. But I do my best to just pass on the negative criticism. So how do I handle criticism? The only criticism that I will consider handling is the one that I ask for. If I ask someone's opinion or feedback, then I will consider that criticism. If I don't and I read it online, I just mentioned how it might affect me, how it might affect anyone else who does this type of job. There's a bunch of jobs that are the same. But what do I do with them? I ignore them. If they're very bad, if they're really out of bad faith, I block the person. No remorse. Yeah, we just had one person today just say something very mean. I just blocked them. No remorse. So that's the way to handle criticism. Hey MK, nice to see you here. MK left a super chat. Says, hey Ariel, I love your streams, make my day. Can you please discuss the accommodations of hotels versus Airbnb in US dollars? That's a good question, MK. I'll give you one example right now because I've done 2 videos so far on my accommodation. Every time I stay in the new place, I usually always do a video. So do check them out. And they're posted on TikTok or on Facebook. London, I spent about 2,700 for 2 weeks. Edinburgh, I spent about 800 for 1 week. And these are dollars, $800. So divide 2,700 by 2 is about 1,375. So I spend about $500 more for 1 week in London versus 1 week hotel in London versus 1 week Airbnb in Edinburgh. I have not done a Airbnb in London yet, so I can't compare city per city. Yeah, unfortunately I can't make that direct comparison, but I would say Airbnb can be cheaper in smaller cities or not the capital or not the big city of the place. So in the UK, the big city is London. I think London, you might find Airbnbs to be the same prices as hotels. But in Edinburgh, I noticed that the Airbnbs were much cheaper. So as I mentioned, you can say I spent $800 for 1 week in a very centrally located Airbnb and very spacious that I could easily share it with a friend or a significant other or a family. So yeah, Airbnbs tend to be much cheaper. Obviously, staying at a person's house is the best way, but of course, my tact is if you're invited by someone to stay at their house, usually I would do it 3 nights maximum. I would not try to impose any more than that. I think there is an unspoken rule or understanding that generally if someone invites you to stay over, I would say 3 nights is probably the max. Any more than that, you're kind of pushing it. Of course, you can always discuss it explicitly with the person who's hosting you. I've had moments where someone hosting me has invited me to stay longer, or someone who's specifically said only for 1 night, that's okay. But I would say there's like a kind of an unspoken rule. Let me know what you think. But I think there's an unspoken rule that's like 3 nights is kind of the max when someone invites you to stay. Morgan says, yeah, it's absolutely an unwritten rule. Yeah. Liam says, please ignore the cranky people. I have loved your videos when you were in Ireland. I'm so glad, Liam. Is Kay's basement still the best place I stayed? Luckily, it was not a basement. It was a great place. Yeah, it was a fun place. Beautiful city as well. Beautiful, amazing host. Nicole says, when I invite somebody, the person can stay as long as he or she wants. That's good. That's good. I mean, that's good. Wendy says, can you stay 3 years? How about 3 years? 3 years is pushing it. Susu says, I watch competitive eaters that post their itinerary and ask for people to host them. Yeah, I usually don't like staying. I usually don't like being hosted. Because I like having my own bed. Not always someone who hosts me offers a bed. Luckily, for example, Kay had a extra room, which was nice with a bed. But yeah, I like having my own bed. I also like having privacy. And when I'm traveling for work. I'm doing videos, so I like having the privacy to edit and to research. And sometimes when you're being hosted by someone, I feel rather guilty not kind of being there with them. So generally, I don't stay over with people if I'm traveling for this. If I'm not traveling for work, then maybe that's a different story. Maybe that's a good opportunity to spend time with a person. Janice got her postcard yesterday. That's awesome, Janice. Judith, stay tuned. You'll see more videos. You'll know the lodging I'm staying at the end when I stay. I'll be posting a video where I cover. You'll see it next live video. Inspire Life says, I feel weird staying in someone's home, especially since I snore so loud. Oh yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, snoring might be a deal breaker. Yeah. Also, I like to walk around naked. As Benjamin Franklin said, air bath. You can't do that in people's houses. Have you had dinner or supper yet? I ate so much today. So much. So I did not have a proper supper, but I had like 3 lunches. Like, yeah, a lot. Yeah, I had like 3 lunches. I had quite a lot of lunch. Julia says, are you serious? Lamar, it says, yeah, I agree about the privacy in the hotel or Airbnb while traveling. I have a family and friend in London, but I still stay on my own. I visit and have my own room. Visit and leave as needed, says Numia. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I have not met that many people who have an entire guest house. I would love to be friends with that type of crowd. Like super rich people who have a guest house. I would love to know them. That would be amazing. Yeah, if you are extremely well-off person who lives in London who has their entire guest house, and you are not a serial killer, do let me know. Burkay says, "How old are you?" I'm old enough. I'm in my early 30s. Have you had British breakfast? Many, many times. What's the best place you visited? London is one of the better cities I visited, but I've been so disappointed by the cell phone service, so it's had a little bit of bad taste in my mouth, so to speak. Um, Still, the best city I've had to live stream has been Rome. Outside of New York, Rome. This is Rome. Rome is Rome. To roam in Rome feels like home. It just puts me really in the zone. Barely want to phone home. It's an amazing city. There's so much architecture, so many churches, so much history, sculptures, food. It's beautiful. Rome is amazing. You look so great. You grew out of your baby fat, says Gretchen. I grew out of my baby fat. Says Gretchen. Thank you so much, Gretchen. I appreciate that. Yes, the baby fat I had in the early urbanist days. Bond says, Ariel, the poet. Yes, I'm quite a poet. Don't you know? Oh, you're blushing, says Daisy. Yes, indeed I am. Or maybe it's a cider. Inspire Life says, there's no place like Rome. No. Will you make a blog about your stay on YouTube? Go on Facebook and on TikTok. Sometimes I do a vlog, but I don't know. Some places just don't really seem too interesting for vlogs. Lauren missed the start. Oh, Lauren. Lauren, things have been getting quite hot. Quite hot in here. So do watch out. Do you like Di Martini, Dr. Di Martini? I don't know who Dr. Di Martini is. Judith. MK says, I'm not on Facebook or on TikTok. Oh, no. I've been wanting YouTube to extend the Shorts platform to 3 minutes, because then I would post these videos on YouTube as well. But I make them in vertical format, and they tend to be between 1 minute and 3 minutes long. And unfortunately, the YouTube Shorts platform is only 1 minute long. Did Kermit design the couch? Maybe he did. It does kind of look like, I think it is felt. Yeah. I told my friends about your wonderful travel, says Radost, in Ireland, London, and Scotland. I'm glad I have the opportunity to watch you traveling. I'm so glad, Radost. I've been getting a lot more views on Facebook, so thank you everyone so much for tuning in. I'm watching you on TV, on YouTube, and Facebook with the volume down, says Ella. Oh, thank you so much, Ella, for tuning in. Where are you now? Asks Tracy. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. I'll be posting the places I'm staying at, and every live video you'll see where I'm located. Have you been to Agatha Christie's home? No, not yet. Where is it, Gretchen? Wendy says, how's work treating me? It's nice. It's okay. Oh, Susie asks, why haven't you shown a great dessert in UK yet? That's a good question. Well, I show cream tea. Watch the sketch video in London. There's not that much good cell phone reception that I encounter in London, so I had even a tough time even going to restaurants and showing places. But beyond that, there's not that much dessert here. There's donuts, so watch my donut video. But outside of pastries, there's not that many desserts. There's cakes. Maybe I gotta find a cake, a Victorian cake, but stay tuned. I'll try to find a Victorian cake. But I've shown donuts, I've shown lots of pastries, cream tea. I have not shown cakes yet. I'll try to find a good Victorian cake. Open another bottle of cider. It's an excuse for me to open up another, says Kay. Didn't have a Scottish tablet. Oh no, I didn't manage to try a tablet. Is there a lot of clotted cream in the Victorian sponge cake? I don't think they use clotted cream. I think they use regular cream. But stay tuned. Dawn says, I live here in the UK. I'm surprised to see how many places you've managed to visit in such a short time. Loving your opinion and reactions. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, my Urbanist video stopped playing. I wish I can. I have a TV in front of me. And I wish I can go back on the TV, but I can't. Okay, so I'm just going to turn it off. Wendy says, cider up. Okay, everyone. Let me know if you want me to stick around for a little bit longer. If you asked the question, let me know if you want to chat for a little bit longer. What about a tour of a good graveyard? There's like one famous graveyard that was in Glasgow. I did not manage to go. I don't know too much about graveyards. You know, no graveyard has really stuck out to me so far my trip. The lighting was your TV? Yeah, it was the TV. Morgan says, please, I'm relaxing here. What helps you stay focused, says Judith? And that's a good question, Judith. The way I focus best is to not add too much to my plate. Simplify. I always simplify as much as possible. For example, I'm here in the UK. I don't have any freelance gigs I'm thinking about. I'm not organizing things that I'm going to do in a month because I'm not planning that far ahead. I really don't have any projects I'm working on, just making videos. And luckily I have friends and family that are very understanding that I, fully focus on my work and not always communicating all the time. So that's how I focus is just doing the task at hand. And then when it comes to actually focusing, when it comes to like editing a video, well, okay, live video is very easy for me to focus because as I mentioned, I don't take out my phone. I'm someone who, if I'm hanging out with someone, if I'm hanging out with a friend, if I'm hanging out with a colleague or a coworker or someone I'm working with, or I'm hanging out with a significant other on a date or something like that, or a family member, I really focus on the moment on hand. If you know me, and some of you can attest to this, I don't take out my phone when hanging out with someone. And sometimes I feel rather silly because I had the opportunity to hang out with someone awesome in London who's also a content creator, and hanging out with her, I didn't even think of taking out my phone. And I was enjoying myself. She even mentioned when we were hanging out, I was like, oh no, feel free to take any photos and videos you want. And I don't know, I just didn't even do it. And I realized looking back, I was like, wait a minute, I could have still taken out my phone. That would have been okay in that context. But usually I don't ever take my phone when I hang out with someone, especially if they're not a content creator at all. Because I have friends that are content creators that make videos as well, or photos on Instagram. But for the people who don't, or not in that business at all, I usually, when I'm hanging out with them, I don't really whip out my phone. So it's easy for me to focus on live video. When it comes to focusing on something I'm doing on my own, like editing, writing, I tend to get into a flow, especially if it's like an Instagram post. I really focus and get into a flow of writing. So I put on my headphones, kind of go to a quiet spot, or sometimes I'm inspired in the train or in the subway or in a cafe, and I just kind of zone in. When it comes to editing, it's very tough because it's very easy to kind of keep scrolling on social media and continue to see notifications. Same thing when it comes to researching. It's very easy to just distract myself and see, ooh, what's happening on Facebook? Ooh, what's happening on YouTube? Ooh, what's happening on TikTok? But I end up breathing through that thought. Sometimes it's easier to do, sometimes it's not so easy, but I end up breathing through the thought and kind of continue to focus. Because the moment you lose focus, the moment you switch that app to check out a notification, your attention is diminished significantly, and it's hard to get back that attention. Hey, David from Ireland, who's a mega urbanist and also a frequent super chatter, has left a €20 super chat. Thank you so much, David. Round of hearts for David for the €20 super chat. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Tracy says, "Are you tipsy?" No, I'm not tipsy. That was the cider. Cider is for, I would say, a very American expression. Okay, I will quote what Americans would say. And I mean this purely as a sociological example for all of you. This cider's for pussies. No, that cider is very good. But no, it's not that strong. Thank you, David. Nice to see you here. Thank you so much for the super chat. That's so kind of you. I appreciate you. I'm so glad you're also a mega urbanist. Mir says, 2 messages, questions with permission. Looking back on all your travels you've done, if you sum up in terms of how you went about it as a whole, the structure and planning of your live walks, the subjects you go about, the material you cover, do you look forward? Do you think looking forward you'll evolve in those respects as Mir? Okay, so great question, Mir. Veronica says cider is like drinking water for so great question, Mir. So in essence, Mir is asking, I do a lot of stuff on live video, and videos in general, planning, exploration, research, learning filmmaking, adding assets, things like that. In all this time, do I see myself getting better at any of them? And how so? How do I evolve from here? That's a question I keep asking myself all the time. I'm always trying to move forward. Always, always, always. It's tricky. Because JAM hits the nail on the head. That's an amazing comment. You hit the nail on the head, JM. Progress is a myth. There's a saying in the Zen tradition that says, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. Meaning that before you are enlightened spiritually in this context, you do your chores, you do your normal routine. You're chopping wood and carrying water to survive. Chopping wood so you can burn things, so you can heat up your home, so you can cook, and carry water so you can live. After, and the rest of the quote is, after enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. So what does that mean? In the context of the Zen tradition, it means that when it comes to spiritual enlightenment, when it comes to be spiritually aware or elevated or whatever you want to call it, growing spiritually, you do the things that you do in life. And sometimes the problem is that a lot of people think, especially in spirituality, that the moment that they become aware or enlightened or elevated or whatever you want to call it, that suddenly they don't need to do any more work. Suddenly they don't need to live life. But you do. You still have to chop wood and carry water. So what's the point? Well, that's a question that's going to be different for everyone. And this applies to work. This applies to art. Because ultimately, progress in art is a carrot on a stick. So a carrot on a stick is an expression that we use a lot in America. I'm not sure if they use it. They probably use it here in the UK as well. It's a English language expression where you put a carrot on the stick and you put it towards an animal who likes eating carrots. I'm not sure. Maybe it's a rabbit or something, and they try to bite it, and then you just move it a little bit up. And every time they try to move it, you just move it a little bit up. So when it comes to progress, and I've been realizing this, is you can progress all you want. You can become the best video maker. In my context, I could become the best video maker, the best master storyteller, the most wealthiest entertainer, or the most savviest one, or the one with the biggest audience. But there will always be something more. You'll always want more. At least your mind will say that. And people who say otherwise, I think they're not really being the most straightforward as to what their mind says. You don't need to listen to what your mind says, but your mind is going to continue saying, oh, but that other person has more money. Oh, but that other person has a bigger audience. Oh, that person is better in telling jokes. Oh, that person has a better significant other. Oh, that person has blah, blah, blah. More friends, blah, blah. The list goes on. A better house. Oh, that person is better at telling stories. There's always going to be more. So why bother evolving? And this is why I've been learning very significantly. If you fall into the trap of always comparing yourself to someone else, then you're always going to fail. Because there will always be someone else doing something better than what you think you're doing. So there will always be someone else that's better looking, or more charismatic, or a better storyteller, or someone who's a little bit more wealthy, or someone who's a little bit more connected, or someone who's a little bit more sociable. There's always going to be something better. Then again, what's the point? And this is where it gets a little bit tricky, because I think it's better not to compare yourself to anyone else. If you choose to evolve in something, the evolution has to come from the heart. What does that mean in a very practical sense? Is that you gotta really enjoy every aspect of what you're doing on a deep level. You have to be enjoying it, not merely saying that you're enjoying it, but you have to really enjoy it. For example, if you meet a lot of people who say, I want to become rich. A lot of people say that. I meet a lot of people who say that. If you tell them the realities of being very rich or being very wealthy, you have a lot of money, and with more money comes more responsibility, more taxes, more financial handling, more nuances when it comes to relationships, because money does change things. Sometimes those people actually will be far unhappier than happier with tons of money. And I believe that life always leads you to what you really want, even when you don't know it. And if something is not coming true in your perspective, may it be money, that's what the most people think about, relationships, skills, career. You gotta ask yourself, is it something I really want? Do I really want to be a billionaire? In my context, I don't care too much about being a billionaire, but I would love to have the money to make huge movies. That I do want. But do you really want to be super uber famous? And I've been asking myself that recently. It's like, for me personally, I don't want to be uber famous. I don't want to be famous on the level of Tom Cruise. But I would love to have a big audience. That I do. So you have to ask yourself, what do you really want? So how does this tie to evolving your skills? The skills you mentioned, Mir, in that question is very good, because you mentioned very practical skills. The thing is that my heart doesn't always say that those practical skills are the most necessary. And the thing is, sometimes the people the best at their craft are not the ones who are the practically the most perfect at what they do. They're not technically amazing. So Frida Kahlo, who's known as one of the most masterful painters in the past 150 years, she wasn't technically an amazing painter. A lot of her colleagues said that. A lot of art historians say that she was not a technical master at painting. But she painted from her heart. And the way she painted, even though it was not technically so-called good if you were to talk about in an academic sense. It touched people. Same thing with movies. You have some filmmakers that are technically amazing. Like, they do the movies just perfect. Look at Michael Bay. Michael Bay is a great filmmaker. He's recognized by many people for being an excellent filmmaker in his techniques. That man can make a movie. But fortunately, Michael Bay's movies don't really touch one's heart. At least most of them don't. So Michael Bay is not as, I would say, impactful in a deeper context as other filmmakers. Depends on what he wants. I don't know Michael Bay personally, but that's why the skills you mentioned, no, I don't necessarily see myself evolving in planning, researching, and the technical aspects of my live streaming. What my prerogative is to continually improve the presence I offer, because I could be the most knowledgeable person in history. I could be the most sociable, extroverted person for a video, but it'll be worthless if I'm not here offering my presence. If my mind is elsewhere, no matter how much I might know, no matter how technically great I am, if my mind is elsewhere, if I'm involved in anxiety, if I am thinking about something else, if I'm not feeling good inside, the video is always going to suffer. On the reverse, I can know shit about history. I could be the worst filmmaker. But if I'm really there with you in the context of entertainment, if I'm really giving me my all in entertainment, really being present with the entertainment, really being free and speaking from the heart, that entertainment will be far more entertaining than the one who's technically amazing. So that's the way I want to evolve, is presence and following my heart. And this happened right now in the UK. In the UK, I came to this trip before the trip thinking I'm going to give you the most epic history videos ever. I know some of you really want those history videos. I know. And I thought I was going to do them. I thought I was going to go in depth about the history of City of London, or learn all about the Romans in Manchester, and go deep into the myths and things like that. I thought I was going to really do all of that. And a lot of issues happened in London. Unsteady live stream signal kind of sucks for telling awesome stories because I'm getting interrupted all the time. And other factors. And as I tried to learn more history during this trip, I just wasn't feeling it. I was not feeling it. I just didn't want to. I did not want to crack open a book. I have a huge stack of books I bought that I thought I was going to read. And in other trips, I do read a huge, massive stack of books. But for this trip, and it's happened a few times before, I just don't want to cover the history that deeply. And I know some viewers really want that. And I have to say, sorry, just my heart is not calling me to tell you the deep history about England or about the UK. But is that a bad thing? No. Because the heart speaks in ways that are mysterious. It doesn't always make sense. I had a very similar feeling in Italy. In Italy, I ended up covering quite a bit of history because I found Roman history very entertaining. But it happened to me in Venice, specifically in Venice. There we go. Venice, I loved learning about the history of Rome. I was really called to learn about the history of Rome. But in Venice, same feeling I had here in the UK. I know the history is amazing, and maybe in a different time I come back here, maybe a different situation, or maybe a different project, I will be going deep into the history. I did that 4 years ago when I went to London. I went deep into the history of London. If you watch any of those videos about London 4 years ago, my stories were very long about all the history. But I know like Venice had so much awesome history. And when I got there, I just didn't, I got the same feeling. I just did not want to do any of the history. I was like, I'll be very clear, very, very blunt. I said, fuck it. I'm not going to research the history that deeply. I'm just going to do live videos where they're wandering around and they're long and they're kind of embracing the overall vibe of Venice. And I think one of my best live videos happened where we took this massive long trip through Burano and Murano, which are two islands in the Venetian lagoon. We ended up taking a water taxi from one of the other far off islands all the way back because a viewer ordered us a water taxi. All that during the sunset. And it just ended up being one of the best live videos ever. And afterwards, I ended up getting a message from someone who is in a hospital because they were diagnosed with terminal cancer. And they said that, thank you for that adventure. I've always wanted to go there, and I don't think I'll ever have the opportunity to go there. And thank you for the water taxi. So that water taxi moment wouldn't have happened if I just decided to do a mere history tour. And that's why I think it's important to follow your heart. Always. Sometimes just by videotaping your wanderings of a place, the history comes through the video. Indeed, yes. Sometimes just the superfluous knowledge I have, because I love to research in general, sometimes the superfluous knowledge I have I still have history I can talk about because I love history in general, but sometimes it doesn't have to be specifically about the place, I've noticed. So the one skill I am always hell-bent on improving, two skills, is presence and storytelling. But not storytelling about specific topic, just stories. It could be telling a story about a fictional character like Bob the Pigeon. It could be a story about a specific moment in history, like the ancient Roman emperors or the Arthurian legends, which watch my short videos about that. Or it could be a story about food that I'm eating. I don't know about the actual food. I'm just eating it and telling you a story. To me, it's all about stories. And I think storytelling does not have to be limited to something you know, A story can be told spontaneously in the moment. A story can be made here and now. Syl says, what does storytelling mean to you? I love stories. I think with stories are the way to a person's heart. You can tickle someone's mind by telling them interesting facts, by giving them a good lecture, by doing some type of scientific discovery. You can tickle someone's mind. But a story could touch someone's heart. And it's a big difference. Because a mind, it's not entrenched in emotion. It doesn't stick with you for years. What sticks with you for years or a lifetime is a good story. It is no coincidence that Star Wars, kids saw in 1977 when it first came out, and they're now adults still obsessing over it. Some of them became the top filmmakers in the world. James Cameron is one of them. J.J. Abrams is another one. They became some of the top filmmakers just because they saw Star Wars as a little kid. A good story will stick with you for a lifetime. In the nonfiction world, Anthony Bourdain did this very well. He told you a good story. He wasn't just telling you facts about a location or mere recipes on how to cook. He told you an excellent story. And that story stuck with people, so much so that his unfortunate passing wrecked people. It was devastating because to many people, it felt like they lost a friend. Of course, he's not a friend, he's an entertainer, just like I'm an entertainer, but it feels like that because he told great stories. I think that's the beauty about stories. Elizabeth says, I simply enjoy living with you, wandering in foreign waters or familiar eating fun grubs. I'm so glad, Elizabeth. Tracy says, Ariel, I think you're amazing. I just wanted to say good night. Oh, thank you so much. You have work tomorrow. Good night, Tracy. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm so glad you enjoy it. Janice says, send 200 stars. Thank you so much, Janice. Legends are forged in stories. Oh, yes, they are, Nick. I love history, especially in the UK, but being in the now, the present, as you were during those lives, is just as important as Isabel. Oh, yes. Where are you heading after the UK? Oh, stay tuned, Nick. We love your shows, David. Oh, that's awesome. History is happening as we speak, says Hyde. Well, indeed it is in many respects. Thomas says, do you want to stay in New York forever? I love New York. Yes, I do envision myself. I do envision myself to continue having a permanent base in New York. I envision myself staying as a New York resident. I don't envision myself being a resident of any other place. I would love to live in other places, but New York will always be my base, at least in the meantime, because that's the place I love the most. Mo says, who will you choose to write your story? I don't know. I don't know. If I had someone to write my own story, ooh. I would be very curious to see Alan Moore, who wrote Watchmen and V for Vendetta, write my story. I think he could get the vibe a lot better than most other people. Judith says, tell me more about guidance. How do you let yourself be led by God? Judith, great question. So Judith says, how do you let yourself be led by God? Well, God could be interpreted as the heart. I think is a valid interpretation, intuition, the flow, the universal flow, the feeling. You can call it a bunch of things. The zone, but how do I am led by that? That otherworldliness is it's listening to intuition is the easiest way to say it. It's noting when your mind is telling you something logical or something out of fear due to it not seeing the logic of a decision and feeling it. How can you feel it? It's not in your mind. So if your mind is saying, yes, do this thing, but somehow you feel it doesn't feel right, and that can manifest in different ways. You feel tense in the shoulders, for example. That's how I feel sometimes when I'm saying something I don't really think I should be saying. I get a little bit tense in the shoulders. You might feel a pit in your stomach. You might feel, in a positive way, you might feel your heart kind of fluttering. Like literally, you feel a flutter. It's a real feeling. Let me know if you felt it before. You can feel giddy, and that giddiness kind of feels like your shoulders are perking up, but not perking up because you're tense, but perking up like ooh, like giddy, like those feelings. Follow those feelings and discern between the mind and the heart, because the feeling might not always align. So I think the best things in life are when you're aligned, mind and heart. So if for example, if you're going to a part of the city, you're exploring, you're traveling to a new city, and logically you say, oh, I gotta go to this place, I gotta go to this place. Your mind is saying, oh, you're coming to New York City, you can't miss Times Square. How dare you miss Times Square? That's what your mind might be saying. You gotta go to Times Square. You gotta go to Times Square. Times Square is where everyone goes. Times Square is the best place. You have always wanted to go to Times Square. Go to Times Square. Go to Times Square. But somehow you feel like, oh, I kind of don't want to Times Square. You kind of procrastinate. You clean up your hotel room because you don't. You say you want to go to Times Square, but for some reason you start cleaning. You start calling a friend. You start kind of dilly-dallying, as we say in America. You kind of start, just doing random stuff. You have a very long lunch. You don't want to go to Times Square. It's obvious. Like your heart is not telling you to go to Times Square. But maybe you say, maybe your mind says, I should go to Times Square, but you're really feeling like you want to go to Brooklyn. And when you think about Brooklyn, you're like, oh, this sounds so fun. You feel your heart flutter, you feel lighter, you feel more elevated. But because your mind is saying, oh, I don't know Brooklyn, Brooklyn's scary, I don't know Brooklyn at all, I have no idea what's there, I never seen it before, I never been there before, what if something happens? I heard that crime happens there, I heard that something happens there, I heard there's terrible things that happen there, there was someone that was murdered there was something that happened there, blah, 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 blah. Your mind goes crazy. You just gotta shut it down. Keep it quiet. And listen into the feeling. And once you listen to the feeling in this hypothetical situation where you really want to go to Brooklyn, but you're afraid of it because you don't know it. If your feeling is saying go to Brooklyn, then okay, recognize that feeling and maybe do some research. Go online, do a quick search and say, oh, what's the safest part of Brooklyn? Maybe ask a friend who lives in Brooklyn, or ask if you know a friend that knows a friend that lives in Brooklyn. Then try to align your heart with your mind. That's why I did in terms of sometimes making videos and not feeling like learning the history. I think to myself, okay, I don't want to learn the history, so what can I do instead? Cover food, go to a place with very interesting architecture, go to a new place that I haven't shown yet just because it's a new city. It's kind of fun to show in live video a new city. So that's the way I'm led, by God or by the heart or by the universe or by intuition. Hey, Susan says, don't overthink. Mo says, interesting how many people you just played out, Ariel, who do that constantly in real life. The noise in the head. Yeah. I'm glad I made it very. There we go. That's storytelling, ladies and gentlemen. I told a story spontaneously. I hope that helped. I could have just told you straightforward. Oh, I listen to intuition, and the reason I listen to intuition is because it has led me in the right direction, and that's it. I could have told you that way, but no. It's better to tell it as a story. Have you been to the restaurant where Eggs Benedict was created, Nick? That was created in Delmonico's, and no, I have not been yet. Delmonico's also made Baked Alaska. Thank you. So Mir, I just gave you a very long reply for that question. Thank you for your profound response, which brings me another question. In following your heart, do you think that consciously or subconsciously, I think you're trying to write, when you pick up your travel destinations? Or is it the other way around? Your heart opens up after you experience a location? That's a good question. When it comes to picking a place to travel, am I thinking about consciously? Am I thinking about subconsciously? Or am I trying to feel the intuition? It could be sometimes a combination of all three. I try to listen to all three. What is the difference? As I mentioned already, the difference between mind and heart. But there is actually a difference between subconscious and conscious. In terms of when you think of a place, you might have subconscious fears that might manifest in conscious logical explanations as to why not to go there. The best example is let me say Wales today. I might say, oh, I'm not going to Wales because there's no trains over there, and I'm going to be stuck in a place. I'm going to be spending so much money to get to a few places in Wales. I don't want to go because of this and that and that. But sometimes it's your subconscious mind afraid to kind of step into the unknown, and it's making up excuses. So if your subconscious mind is doing something towards the positive, then that's awesome. It doesn't really matter. But if it's doing towards the negative, then pay attention to that. If you're making up excuses, if your little voice in the head is being very logical and saying, oh no, I shouldn't do this because of that. I should not go to this bar because I don't know anyone there. Pay attention if that is a subconscious fear because maybe you went to a bar before and felt very lonely. That's the difference. So I think when it comes to traveling, I mostly choose places I'm really interested in, and I'm like interested in the heart level. Like I feel like they're awesome. I can tell you logically what places would be interesting that I have very little feeling for. I could tell you logically I can go to, and I don't mean to offend anyone at the moment. I'm not feeling this at the moment. But I can tell you logically I can go to India. I can tell you logically that India, if I go, I will get a crazy amount of views. But at the moment, India is not calling me. I don't feel it in my heart. Though I have no doubt at some point I will. But at the moment, I don't feel it in my heart. Like, that's why some people are very puzzled as to why I go to like UK. It's like not the best place to go as a vlogger. Um, you're not gonna like vloggers don't get that many views covering the UK, at least in general. Of course, there's a few of them that get amazing views, but especially when it comes to travel vloggers, not that many travel vloggers get insane amount of views by going to the UK. But I wanted to go, so I'm here. Like travel vloggers who go to India, Pakistan, the Philippines, Thailand. Oh my, they end up getting a whole lot of views. I have no doubt I'll go to those places at some point. But I was called to go to the UK. So I'm here. Same thing with Italy. I had a few comments and a few people even I knew that said, "Oh, why are you going to Italy? There's so many videos about Italy. Everyone has done Venice. Why are you going to Venice?" But I wanted to go, and some of the best experiences I've ever had in my life. I mean, you could say the same thing about Ireland. Some people ask me, like, why are you going to Ireland? What's there to Ireland? It's always raining in Ireland. But I went to Ireland nonetheless. And I loved it. And I think they made for amazing videos. Ron says, be happy to show you my town. Yeah, I can't wait to one day go to the Philippines. Um, Ariel, you fit right into Italy and Greece. Yeah, yeah. I mean, Italian culture was interesting. I didn't feel really connected to the people in general. I met wonderful individuals. My friend Cassandra, Mary Jane, Paula. There was wonderful individuals I met and I felt very connected to. But the Italian people I didn't feel so connected to. But it was a wonderful place to visit, really mind-blowing. Where's calling you right now? Eibel, that's a great question. Um, I can't explain this logically. And this is a place that I said before that I'm not so interested in going. But for some reason that, again, I can't explain logically, I am intrigued by Seattle. I have no idea why. My brain, my mind is saying that's going to be a boring city. It's very rainy. But I don't know why. So will I follow my heart? Will that fascination go away in a few days? I don't know. I don't know. But at the very moment on hand, for some reason, I keep thinking about Seattle. For some reason, my heart says go to Seattle. I have no idea why. I'm not sure what there is in Seattle aside from Starbucks. I have no doubt it's a beautiful city. I know I have a few viewers there, but I don't know. I don't know. It keeps coming to my mind. I have not done any research on Seattle except learning about the rapid transit system and Starbucks history. That's the only thing I know about that city. Joe says, I think they took your advice in the new Batman movie. Oh, really? it feels good. I hope it's not that dreary. Lava says, I am in Seattle. I'll give you great tips. Thank you. Frasier is a good sitcom. Wow, I've been on for 2 hours and 10 minutes. Paris after Seattle? Oh, yeah, I would love to do Paris. Melody says, Seattle's not boring. I'm glad to hear. Berlin calls me, says Peter. Yeah, let us know what calls you. How about Egypt or Africa? Those are hard countries to visit, especially when it comes to live streaming. I would love to show parts of Africa and Egypt, but I don't know. My heart does not call me to parts of Africa. I am intrigued by certain parts of African history, like the history of Lagos in Nigeria, especially when it comes to Afrobeat, the music. But at the moment, it's not something I'm like eager to go. Okay, I could stick around for 15 more minutes. If you want me to stick around for 15 more minutes, let me know. Slam that like button right now. And I think the love of life is in Seattle, says Belinda. Wow, we have a lot of Seattleites. Is it Seattlers or Seattleites? We have a lot of Seattleites tuning in. So let me know if you want me to stick around. But if you do want me to stick around, I got to take a quick commercial break. And I'm feeling rather peckish. And I have a tiny little pork pie that I can have at least one final bite for today. So let me know. Mo says, what about Israel? Not at the moment. I would love to visit Jerusalem at some time, but it doesn't feel right at the moment. All right. Ooh. Oh, I've been sitting cross-legged. Oh, I feel so sore. All right, bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to play a video for all of you. Let's play a segment of today's journey. I think it was this. Yeah.
But it's the lyrics that just seem quite right for us now, as we continue up this Cranberries Pass.
Okay, I'm back. Hello. Welcome, everyone. Wendy says, wow, Ariel. Mo says, wow, that was really nice. I'm so glad you enjoyed that. That was today in Wales. Oh, I played the song, the thing with the song. Oh no. Oh, I forgot. I played the clip with the song, now with his narration. Oh no, I might get demonetized. Oh, that sucks. Oh, okay. Anyways. That was a perfect song since we've been talking about following your heart, says Isabel. Yeah. All right, here we have a pork pie. This one's a huge pork pie. So look at that. A part of the crust fell out, so it's a bit open now. This is supposed to be served room temperature or cold. It's pork with some jelly. So yeah, actual jelly, which is injected from the very top into the pie. It is a classic treat here in Britain that I love it so much. So I could use a good pork pie. Oh yeah, I needed that. Oh my. It's very porky and very pie. Wow. So the pork, it tastes like a huge sausage. Of course, it's room temperature. The jelly kind of adds that extra kind of sliminess to it. And the pie is really good. They made a good pastry. This was the pork pie I bought in Betsi Coed in Wales. Susie says it looks undercooked. I think that's the point. Do confirm with me, UKers, before I take any more bites. An Irish urbanist. Is it supposed to be this pink? So Matrix says I'm very red. It happens to me. Yeah, it happens. Especially when I'm like talking for a long time. Kay says it's okay. Peter says it's okay. It's cooked, says Lauren. All right, great. Need some mustard? I like it straight, but I get why mustard might be a good addition. That's exactly how it's supposed to look, says Deb. All right, that's great to hear. Looks normal to me. Pork is normally pink. Oh yeah. Veronica asks if it's like spam. No, it's more like a sausage than spam. Mo says, have you eaten avocado much since you've been here in the UK? I have been eating quite a bit of avocado. Yeah, I have been. Yeah, not on a daily basis, but I've had it maybe two or three times per week. Iable says, clearly you're enjoying it. Is it rather warm? No, you don't serve this warm. You serve it room temperature or cold. Usually it's room temperature. I don't think people really chill their pork pies unless if they're keeping it for a few days. But if you buy the day of, leave it room temperature and that's it. There's a pork pie. You don't warm this up. Virginia says, is it rather warm? Why are you so red? Well, ladies and gentlemen, A, I've been drinking. B, I've been leaving the heat on, and it was on pretty high up. I'm wearing a cardigan as well, which is not a good idea when leaving the heat on. And then C, when doing a very long conversation, having the camera facing me the entire time, one gets a little bit flushed. Am I sunburned? No, just one gets a little bit flushed. When like try having the camera facing you for more than 2 hours. It depends on the scenario, but especially in a quiet room, I get a little bit more flushed, especially just talking for 2 hours. I imagine this tasting like salami. No, it tastes like a pork sausage. If you ever had a sausage, it tastes like a sausage, not like salami. Ron says, what comment is the most memorable? As I mentioned, the one after the Venice one, that person left the comment privately, but that was a comment that touched me. Panajotes, nice to see you here. I know you've been tuning in and leaving a lot of comments. Thank you so much for tuning in. Sorry I didn't read everyone's comments, but now that we weeded all the people who, the chumps. No, I'm joking. But now that there's less people here, if you asked a question before, ask again. Feel free to answer it now that we have less people tuning in. Veronica says, I would love to see working class neighborhoods in the UK. Veronica, that is a great question, or a great request. It's something I've been thinking a lot about. And yes, there is a chance I will show you more of the working class neighborhoods soon. Stay tuned. There's a particular area in England that has some very important neighborhoods or towns that are important to history, and there's another one that probably has a very bad reputation, but I don't think it's that bad. And we might see more of the different ethnicities, the diversity of the UK. So stay tuned. I'll show you that probably next weekend. Do you know Rise New York opened? So yes, everyone, Rise New York, which is the attraction that was made a documentary for, has opened. So go risenewyork.co and check it out if you want to see my documentary in person. risenewyork.co. It's an attraction in Times Square. I have a fashion documentary. Gretchen says, tell the story behind your middle finger. A lot of people ask me about the ring, or about the necklace. to be honest, I just went to a jewelry store. I saw this ring. I put it on. And I was like, ooh, I like it. And I bought it. And I've bought it for my... This is going to be a very boring story. I bought it for my ring finger. For my not wedding ring finger, which would be the left hand here in America and many parts of the West. I bought it originally for this, but it was too big because I wanted a ring finger ring, and since it was too big, I put it on this middle finger, and I placed it on. It was the perfect size. And then I looked into the symbolism of the putting something on the middle finger. Very rare that men use a ring on the middle finger. Usually men have it on the ring finger or on the pinky. It's very rare, unless if you see a guy with a bunch of rings. But generally, if a man is wearing 1 or 2 rings, he rarely has it on the middle finger. A lot of people actually recommend against putting on the ring finger because they find it uncomfortable. So it's not common. And I was reading the description of what the ring finger means, and it means power. So I found that very interesting, that it wasn't the ring finger, which usually means hearts or love or connection or belonging. The pinky means wealth, prosperity, legacy. I forgot what the thumb means. The index finger means something else, but the middle finger means power. And I found that very fascinating. I was like, ooh, cool. Yeah, I could use more power. Like Thanos, the power is all mine. So there we go. That's the reason. Right intuition, says MDN. Yeah, this is my right middle finger. Morgan says, and you placed it and it took upon your person naturally. Yeah, the moment I placed this ring, it felt just natural. The one ring to rule them all. My precious. And I disappear. But I can put it on my ring finger. My wedding, what would be an engagement ring. I can put it here. If I want to go to a bar, not to be continuously hit on by hordes of women, I could just put this ring right over here, and boom. It's like a force field against the hordes of women at any bar. 1-2 says, are you going to any bars after this stream? Probably not. Susan says, watch your hairline. There's nothing one could do. Is that expression, Susan? But I know many men around my age are very concerned about their hairline. You know, there's nothing you can do. You can be a billionaire and spend a whole lot of, or not a billionaire, but men spend so much money on hair transplants. Nothing you can do. Same thing with gray hair. I'm grateful I have hair. I know not everyone has the opportunity to be going into their 30s having a full head of hair. I'm very grateful. But I do have a lot of graying hairs. Which one is visible up top, but a lot more on the sides. So I'm getting a little bit of a Mr. Fantastic from the Fantastic Four. Or like Doctor Strange, he also has the gray streaks on the side. And you know, I'm just grateful I have hair, so I don't care about the grays. I'm going to enjoy whatever color the hair is. I'm going to enjoy as much as possible. As long as I have it. Susie says, try it just for a minute. No, I won't. Uh, Armchair says it's distinguished. Oh, yes, it is. Mirror says that surrounded you and speaks volumes. Thank you, Ariel, for responding about the heart. It speaks volumes as an artist. Oh, yeah, I'm so glad. Lord of the Rings reference. Oh, yeah, Susan was making a Lord of the Rings reference. So Susan was referring to Gollum, who wore too much the ring in Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit and became very bold. He had only like a few strands of hair. Irene says your dad has gray hair. It's hereditary. Indeed, it is. Yes, my grandfather. Luckily, my grandfather on the maternal side had a full head of hair till he passed at around 80 years old, 81, something like that. He had pretty much a full head of hair, but he had it all white. My other grandfather had plenty of hair, and it was also all white. So yes, it is hereditary. Now you would need to double your videos in New York because action can move, says Ray. Well, there's a lot of other vloggers in New York City. There's New York City Walking Show, there's Walking Commuter, there's Tom Delgado, there's many others. Armchair Guru says you won't lose your hair. Yeah, I mean, it seems like genetics are in my favor, luckily. Eibel says, my dad didn't go gray until his 60s. Yeah, it depends. Everyone's different. It's a natural process of life. I see so many people, especially scrolling through TikTok, especially in America. So many people, men and women, so preoccupied by their looks and all various ages. But this used to be a thing that you would see maybe to generalize with women who were older, like 40 plus. But now you see this with guys who are like in their 20s and women who are also in their early 20s. Some of them taking Botox, getting fillers, getting veneers. Men in their 30s getting hair transplants. Oh my God. It's so sad that, I mean, I don't want to demean anyone doing what they will with their body, but if it comes out of from a place from fear and from anxiety or from some negative place, it sucks. It sucks that there's so many people out there doing so much to their bodies. Pat says, my chemo made all the gray hairs fall out and now it's coming back brown. Oh, that's cool, Pat. That's awesome. See, sometimes the body is very interesting. Miss Lob says, I know what you mean. It's so futile. There's such beauty in aging. It could be very scary. I'm very young, so I don't know too much, of course, but I can imagine from what I've learned from others, from what I've seen and observed, yes, it could be very scary to age, but there's beauty to aging as well. Men and women, or whatever gender you associate with, there's beauty in aging. And of course, there's stereotypes for each gender, but ultimately, the face creams, the fancy moisturizers, the fancy hair products, the fillers, the veneers, the plastic surgery, or the endless hours at the gym will never correct how you feel in the inside. It doesn't mean that those things could be fun to do, but they'll never correct. They'll never be an influence on how you feel or how you take care of your body in the terms of what you eat and what you consume and what you do and how you walk and how you move. It will never fix any of that. And I'm afraid a lot of people are doing so many things to their bodies thinking it'll fix their lifestyles. But it won't. And you can live whatever lifestyle you want to also, but do it consciously. I love my pastries. I'm very conscious that, yeah, pastries in high amounts could have negative consequences. And that's why I love to walk. And that's why I avoid sugar in many other parts of my diet. And that's why I don't eat too much bad quality pastries. But be conscious of what feels good. So sometimes you can change your body in wonderful ways, in whatever way you want to, naturally. So a lot of people say I lost my baby fat, as Gretchen mentioned earlier, or that I lost weight. I just changed diet. I just started eating things that felt good to me. I still eat amazing pastries, but I eat better pastries. I found the best pastries that feel good to me. Stop eating certain things that I really didn't like, actually. I didn't like eating too much cheese, especially cow cheese. For some reason, I thought I liked it, but I realized, no, I actually don't like it. It doesn't bode well with my body. It has done wonders. And I realized, no, I didn't want to sit down and work sitting down 9 to 5, huddled, hunched over a laptop. Some people might like to do that. They might have plenty of other things in life that they do afterwards. But I couldn't stay hunched over in the laptop. It didn't feel good for me. So I found a job where I am walking a lot, walking all the time. It's not the best job for everyone, and walking certainly comes with its series of challenges. It does. Don't think that lots of walking will just cure every physical ailment. Lots of walking might bring physical ailments, especially if you're not walking consciously. So walk with purpose, or do anything with purpose and consciously. Susie says that's me. Yeah, well, I mean, I don't mean to demean that at all. No, not in the least bit. I just felt I couldn't do it personally. Hey, it was some time since my last super chat, says Panajotes. €5. Thank you so much for the €5. I appreciate you, Panajotes. A question not related to England, but it's right over the water. Have you ever been to Belgium? No, I have not. German. Not yet. Great question. Catherine. Catherine asks a really biting question. Catherine. Catherine asks, Ariel, I have to ask this. Do you realize you're handsome? I mean, do you? That's a great question, Catherine. Um, Thank you. I appreciate that. I can tell you this. I've had a few instances where I've met guys who are heterosexual, and I thought they were very good looking. I'm straight. I'm heterosexual, but just I was appreciating how good looking they were, um, and this has happened to me to a few times where I met those guys, and they've made comments in conversations saying, "Oh, well, you have it easy because you're very good looking," and in like in a very kind of platonic way. But they said that like, "Oh, yeah, you have it easy. You must get you must attract a lot of people." They were assuming I was very handsome, and I was assuming they were very handsome. This sounds like a very bad joke or a very funny skit for homoeroticism, but it wasn't that. It was just that moment. It was like, oh my god! But like, wait a minute, you think I'm very good looking, but I thought you were very good looking. So I've had those moments, and it's blown me away a few times with certain individuals where I thought, my god, this guy is he must be the most talked about dude in any room, and he's saying that I am very good looking. That has made me think that perspectives are very interesting. So yes, I've contemplated on that fact, but thank you, I appreciate that compliment. Lorraine says you're attractive, and so excuse me, I'm getting a little bit emotional by your comments. Lorraine says you're attractive, beautiful inside and out. Thank you so much. Janice says, too bad you're only 5'2". Ultimately, another thing I can answer that, and this is why I like going for very long. Right now we're at 2 hours and 42 minutes. I see the time up there. And the good thing about having a very long conversation that kind of just extends more than you think you would want to talk is that you start getting to real topics. You start really getting to the authentic person. I love this when I'm hanging out with a friend or like on a date or trying to get to know someone a little bit better. Sometimes talking beyond that point where you feel a little bit tired of talking, the real conversation happens. So what I was going to say is I've noticed walking around, meeting people, a lot of people don't realize their beauty physically. Of course, there's beauty that is not physical. There's beauty of personality, beauty of a smile, beauty of intellect, beauty of someone's spiritual essence. There's so much beauty, but I've noticed a lot of people don't realize that they have beauty physically, and sometimes it's been very shocking to me, to both men and women, to see, well, like, wow, you really don't realize that you have it all. Really, I'm not saying that as an overstatement. You have it all. And it is a privilege to have a likeness that people find pleasant. They don't need to find it. It doesn't need to be, you don't need to be the most attractive person in the world. You don't need to be the fittest person in the world. But it's an immense privilege. Not everyone has that privilege. And enjoy it. Enjoy the face you have. Enjoy, if you are able-bodied, enjoy your able-bodiedness. Enjoy whatever situation you're in, but I think it's very important to be grateful for what you have at the very moment in time. Don't take it for granted. I think a very practical version for me, or a guy who would be in his 30s, is hair, as we mentioned earlier. It's really easy to fuss about hair as a man, because many men are around the world. I think almost every ethnicity, men go bald. I think more men of my ethnic background, but for many parts of the world, men tend to lose hair, thin hair, whatever, gray hair, white hair. Their hair changes, and it's very easy to fuss about that, especially if you know that's coming. And some guys, you can tell that's coming, of course. I have friends that I was able to tell 10 years ago, and yeah. But you gotta enjoy it while you have it. This is the more sillier one. There's things that are a lot more serious, a lot more kind of influential in your daily life. But to give you a more lighthearted example, yeah, you gotta enjoy the hair once you have it, especially if you're a guy in your 30s. Enjoy if you have hair in your 30s. Enjoy it, no matter how receded it might be, or how thinning it might look. I'm very grateful that my hair is pretty much the same, but I realize that even if it's a little bit receded, you gotta enjoy it. Like the gray hairs I have, you really gotta enjoy it. I am grateful to have gray hairs and white hairs. Like now, yeah, oh cool. I got a Doctor Strange, Mr. Fantastic type of hairstyle coming in my very near future. Awesome. Really enjoy it. And one thing that blew me away in Veronica says, yeah, that's why I have dental implants. I need to keep smiling. Well, of course, you could do whatever you want to feel good. But what blew me away was in Italy. In America, a lot of men who go bald tend to hide their baldness. So it's very typical, especially if a guy in his 30s, if he's going bald, he tends to wear a beanie or a hat. Younger guys, my age or younger, would wear a beanie. You see this all the time in New York, and it's cool. It's awesome. And then older guys would wear like a fancier hat, and sometimes you have the guys who love to wear the fedoras and things like that. And then you have guys who put like a toupee or different things to hide their baldness. That's more than okay. You do you, whatever you want to do. But what struck me in Italy was that the guys did not hide their baldness whatsoever. They didn't even they didn't shave their heads like you see some guys in America do to hide their baldness. They would just go completely shaven, like Like we see famous actors like Dwayne The Rock Johnson or Vin Diesel do that, or Jason Statham. You did not see that in Italy. You saw a guy have normal, regular hair all around. He's bald on the top and just had it regular, or receding hairlines in the middle and just had it like that, and had a normal length that looked good, but he wasn't hiding it. He didn't fully shave it. It looked good. And then also, I didn't see too many men in Italy dye their hair. And I was stunned by that when I went to Italy for the first time. I was like, wow, these guys don't care about that specific aspect. And they were still impeccably dressed. So I was really stunned by that. And it was nice to see that in a different country, in a different culture, they care about different things. And sometimes what we really care about in our own culture is completely irrelevant in another culture. Like in Japan, for example, Japan, unfortunately, or whatever you want to see it, many people have crooked teeth in Japan. It's a lot more prevalent in Japan than any other part in the world. People have crooked teeth. And it's normal there. So there's not an obsession in Japan with putting braces, or worse, getting veneers. I say worse, especially if you're young and destroying your teeth to get veneers. Of course, if you need it, you need it. But fortunately, a lot of young people are like shaving their teeth to put veneers. We do this in the US, but in Japan, they don't give a shit. Because this is normal. This is normal to have crooked teeth. So they don't care. And it's rather beautiful. It goes to show that, yeah, you can be so-called ugly with crooked teeth in one country, like the US, but you could be perfectly normal or even good-looking in another country with crooked teeth. So that is very interesting. Keep that in mind. That's the beauty of travel. The way we present ourselves the way we want others to see us as Panagiotis. Oh yeah, that's right. Lauren says it gives you character, indeed. Hey, Wendy says I have teeth. That's awesome, Wendy. I'm glad you have teeth. That's good to hear. Appreciate those teeth. Wow, Bee's Knees left a $9 super chat, a £9 super chat. Thank you so much, Bee's Knees. Guy Tweedy. We have a fellow Yorkshireman with a £9 super chat. Thank you so much for the £9. Kay says, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Indeed, indeed. It is truly in the eye of the beholder. It depends on the culture. It depends on the country. It depends on the region. I lost my hair when I was 18, says Ben Smith. Was quite liberating and saved quite a fortune on barbers. Yes, looking at the positive way. That's awesome. I'd rather go gray than have it go all the way, says Expire Life. Yeah, well, yeah. Sometimes there's no choice in the matter. I like your channel, says Baby Channel. I'm so glad. Thank you so much for tuning in, Baby Channel. I have a small gap and never wanted to get veneers. Right, yeah, says Eibel, yeah. Wendy says, keep on going. All right, everyone, I'm going to end officially at 3 hours. And this was an amazing, amazing chat. We got 8 minutes left. If you have any hard, biting questions that I can answer quickly, feel free to ask, because I'm going to need some sleep. 123 says, I just have big ears. Cheers to that. Veronica says, Ariel, are you going back to wearing your bright short sleeve shirts? You know, that's a great question, Veronica. I kind of got bored of them. I only brought one with me, surprisingly. I have not even worn it. I got a little bit bored of wearing the same type of floral shirts or bright colored shirts. So yeah, I'll wear it. I do want to wear them. I have an awesome collection. I'll probably wear them when they come when it's more appropriate when it's summertime. But at least in wintertime, I felt like a change. I needed a change, so I haven't worn T-shirts in nearly 12 years. Before this winter, I did not wear T-shirts. Wow. I haven't worn T-shirts in a while, so I started wearing T-shirts. I never wore pullover sweaters. I think the last time I wore a pullover sweater before this winter season was when I was like 7, 8, and I hated them when I was young, but now they're fun. And a few other things, yeah. I didn't wear those things before. Kay says this has been a great chat. It has indeed. Wendy says, get those guns out. Oh yeah, getting those guns out. What is the one question you wanted someone to ask you but haven't been asked as Inspire Life? Inspire Life, you've asked me that a few times actually. I remember Inspire Life. Jason, that's a great question. I don't know, but I'll tell you something a little bit more fun. When I was in second year of college, I would sit in the cafeteria in the mornings because I would arrive to the school pretty early because I had to commute. And I would get into the cafeteria and kind of chill there and hang out with friends. I would wait for them. But before my friends started really coming in to the cafeteria of the university, there was this one girl who who I really found attractive. I really liked. I didn't know her, but I found her attractive, and she was in one of my classes. And she would also come into the cafeteria very early, and I would be sitting down listening to music and really kind of enjoying the music. And I always wanted her to come up to me and ask me what I was listening to. And that was a bit of a hopeless romantic of me to think that. Of course, that was a little bit of a naive thing to do. And also, it's not the best thing to do. But I was shy. I was a shy college kid. And I definitely did not have the guts to go up to her and chat with her. So I yearned for her to ask me what song I was listening to. And she never did. But this led to me getting so into music, because I started listening to music all the time, that I end up writing a full music blog for 6 years. And I met many people through that music blog, which was very nice. So that was a positive thing. Ibel says, maybe she was waiting for you to approach her. Yes, that's quite a possibility, yes. But at that young age, I think I was 20. I did not. I was 19 or 20. I did not realize that. I did not realize that. But now I wouldn't. Now I would assume that, yes. Catherine says, "Where is she now? Maybe wait for you." Oh no, it wasn't that. It wasn't that important of a crush. It was just it was a minor crush. It wasn't that important. I'm not sure what happened. Jeanette says you're from Glasgow. Okay, 2 more minutes. Music is my life, says Wendy. Oh, that's good to hear. 1 more minute. I had a great time chatting and listening, says Susan. Great chat, great questions. Ariel, on this trip, has anything shocked you? The train system I mentioned earlier, Guy Tweedy. To be brief, I was surprised how there's trains everywhere. You can get to almost any corner of the country via trains, even to the top of a mountain in Wales. 2-minute war, yes. 50 seconds left. Susie wants to see you in skinny jeans. I haven't worn skinny jeans since I was 20 years old. No, I think the last time I wore skinny jeans was 25, 26. They kind of went out of style about 4 or 5 years ago in America. Susie says, thank you for your time. My pleasure. Catherine says she grew up and changed her name to Taylor Swift. Indeed, Catherine, indeed. Yes, the girl I had a crush on was Taylor Swift. No, it was not. Mary says, rest chat. 10 seconds. Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this, you'll see me more. This is a once a month special. You'll see more of these videos in the future. That's every first Friday of the month. And I'll be back 3 p.m. Thursdays through Friday. Thursdays through Sundays, 3 p.m. until mid-March. And then new schedule from mid-March. So stay tuned. 2 more weekends of live videos at this schedule. Thank you everyone so much for tuning in. We had so many amazing questions. Sorry I did not get to all of them. I apologize. We've had a lot of people tuning in, but I hope that you enjoyed it nonetheless, that it brought some value to you. So everyone from a random place in the United Kingdom, stay tuned. I'll let you know this beautiful location I'm staying at. Keep being awesome and always keep on exploring. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.